Greetings, gamers. My name is Devang. Welcome back to Shadows of Brimstone Apple Turnover Gang. So, if you're watching this, you're most likely a Patreon subscriber, a patron of mine. So, start off with thank you for supporting me. If you are a patron of mine. Last adventure, we were in mission 2 of the Order of the Crimson Hand mission book, and it was captives, and we called it captivated, and we lost badly. The darkness caught up to us, and we failed the mission. It was very rough, which I thought it was going to be. If you have not watched that episode, I would recommend that you do before watching this, but here we are, and so I'm going to get this to you here, rather than including it in its own, or in with the town episode. I thought this would be a great separate video, just to save some time on the town episode, and something to give to my patrons, at least for now, that doesn't impact the actual gameplay, and for those people who like just watching through YouTube, this gives you some extra content. So here we are. You don't recall, the failure condition was for every item and token that the hero has, we have to roll a die. On a 1 or 2, we lose it. And so that is going to be rough, and that is what this video is going to be. We're going to be rolling for each of the items and icons for all 3 of the heroes, and see what we win, keep or lose. Now, we cannot use grit to re-roll any of these dice, which means Bechamel's fortune cannot be used to alter it. We do have one thing, however, which can be used to help, which is the lucky hat. Which is, and this is still considered the end of the adventure, so it's still in the adventure. Once per adventure, re-roll any 1 die. So, we do have that. In order to try to save something that we find really needs to be saved. And really, the idea is the things that really need to be saved are the things that are really expensive, that are going to be a lot to replace. I mean, obviously, some of these items we found, right? So it's going to be difficult to replace them. But the really expensive things, in my mind, what I'm going to say is the tools of science. It's going to be kind of number 1 up there, as well as the duelist gun belt for Pete. Those are being the big expenditures that we have made. So that is my thought. Obviously, potentially there might be some other things that we might want to save, but it's going to come down to, because that's 2 different characters, I'm going to be rolling per character. To be fair. So it's going to come down to, do I roll for Pete's stuff before Doc's? And then we're going to have to make a decision if we have to save the duelist belt, right? Then do we risk the tools of science? Because it would be nice if we could keep Doc and, maybe save the feathered hatchet, for example. We got a couple other good things for both characters. So we're going to start with Bechamel here with the lucky hat. This will tell us whether we get any rerolls whatsoever. So we will go ahead and start with that. We'll start with the lucky hat right there on the top left. We keep the lucky hat. So that is a 3. Next we have her breaching gun. So this is her primary weapon. We are considering getting rid of that, but it is worth 750, which we will lose out on if we lose it. So we do get to keep that. Now is her standard pistol that she starts with. That's her starting pistol. She does lose the starting pistol. Okay. The telescope, which is +1 cunning. And when traveling, she can cancel and re-roll 1 result on the travel hazard chart. That was a recent acquisition. We managed to keep that. Alright, we have the Badlands Adventure Gear, and I left tokens on there because It comes with 1 bandage, 1 whiskey, and 1 tonic, which I have not actually used the tonic, which I should try to remember to use. But having the extra bandages, the extra whiskey, and the extra tonic is nice. It does weigh 2, which is going to be rough for her, as far as weight. So I'm not going to be horribly upset if it goes away. But the extra tonic is nice. Again, not that I have used it, but because remember, she gets, when she recovers a grit, she gets a fortune back as well. So, alright, well, let's see. We managed to keep the Badlands Adventure gear. Alright, so then we have the Jack of Hearts, which is +1 luck. And we know luck is really useful for her. But anytime you draw nothing here, scavenge card, gain $25. Since I rarely scavenge, that's not as bad. We can actually pick up other luck items in town. So, okay, but she keeps that. And then last is, not last, we got some tokens. But she has the Ring of Tarkul, +1 cunning, once per adventure recover a grit. We have used that, which is very nice. And the extra cunning is useful as well for gambling. Managed to keep that. Alright, so we have 3 bandages. So let's roll for the bandages. Alright, so we lose 1 of the bandages. Okay, we have 1 whiskey, which we keep. And then we have 1 tonic, which we keep. So, overall, that was not too bad. That was not too bad for Bechamel. So, let's move on to, I think we'll move on to Pete. However, both Pete and Doc do have a lot more items than Bechamel. So, hold on. Alright, here we are with Pete and all of his gear. I guess I can put his tokens somewhere down here as well that we have to roll for. As you can see, he has a few more items than Bechamel does. Nothing specific, except I also do not have the Duelist Belt card on here. So I need to make sure I print that out. I have it written down on his character sheet right now. So before we forget anything, let's go ahead and roll for that. And that will also tell us whether we need to use the lucky hat. No, so he keeps the duelist duelist gun belt. And then what else do we have? So we have the 12th Cavalry boots, which is +1 move. Once per adventure, gains +3 initiative until the end of the turn. He's never actually used that extra ability, but the extra move is handy. Okay, we managed to keep that, so that's good. So the Hell Pistol, which we recently just picked up, in fact. Range 6, 2 shots for on each hit. With the Hell Pistol, he can take up to 3 corruption hits to do +1 damage each. Pete's not necessarily a bad person to get that, but it's still only 2 shots. And you know me, I like more shots. So Hell Pistol. We lose the Hell Pistol. So, alright, well, not a big loss. I guess the Fallen Gunfighter's Pistol. Do we lose that? That is, again, he's had that for a little while. Range 6, 3 shots. Once per turn, he can take 3 wounds, ignoring defense, to add +2 damage to a hit, which is nice. It does also have a Darkstone icon on it. In the box. Okay, we managed to keep that. The Tredaran Trench Pistol, which is take a corruption hit to fire it. Again, Pete's not too bad. Range of 5, 3 shots doing +1 damage each. Pete with his free corruption point removal with his ribbon. It was working out okay. He also had the Tattered Duster, which helped a little. We do get to keep it. Okay, speaking of which, the Tattered Duster only helps sometimes, but basically, anytime you take a corruption point, roll a d6 on a 5+ prevent it, and 2 health. So 2 more hit points, and it kind of gives him a 5+ armor save against corruption hits, which combined with the Tredaran pistol sometimes helps. I've been pretty bad at it. Ooh, but we lose the Tattered Duster. So we may want to get rid of the Trench Pistol. Alright, the Tomb Chest. The Tomb Chest has a, 5 or 6 Darkstone in it. We keep that. Then he's got the Canteen. So the canteen is, once per adventure, healed 2d6 wounds. Haven't really necessarily needed to use that too often. But we do keep it. Alright, the gold teeth. Doesn't weigh anything. +1 max grit while in the mines. Gets to keep that. Standard bandana, starting gear. So through the escape tests, he's good. The eagle feather. Okay, this was attached to the duster, I believe, but there are a couple other things he can get it attached to. Alright, +1 agility, +2 health. And he loses the eagle feather. Okay, so that will mark his agility down and his health a little bit. Alright, we found the Hearthbone necklace, which is Spirit Armor 5+. That's pretty recent. And it gains the keyword tribal. Keep that. The plasma torch, which we had on Doc originally, but gave it to Pete. Probably want to give it back to Doc at some point, but the extra strength was nice for Pete's lasso, which is why he had it. Use a grit to add +2 damage to one of your combat hits. This may not be used multiple times per hit. And we don't, grit is generally going to be better used to re-roll and get more hits than to doing extra damage on a hit. But plasma torch. Ooh, we lose the plasma torch. Okay, the void catcher. Whenever a darkness card is played, you may recover 1 grit. We keep that. Mark of the Void. Spend 2 Darkstone to attach, which I don't think we actually attached this to anything. Add +1 damage against void enemies. We lose that. Okay, and then last but not least, I guess we still have the tokens. His is lasso. I believe, in fact, I don't even know if you can actually lose the lasso. There's no value on it. But I would have to check because I do believe there was an FAQ talking about rebuying starting items. And he does lose the lasso. So I will look up on that and figure out how he regains his lasso. There will be some way and that he can buy it in town. And we will deal with that. Alright, so 1 bandage. Okay, so he keeps 1 bandage. The whiskey, he loses the whiskey. Okay, and then the tonic, he keeps the tonic. Alright, so there is Pete. So we haven't, we still have the hat, the lucky hat. So we can save that for something. Don't care about re-rolling any of these. So I said we did lose the Hell Pistol, which wasn't a huge loss. The Tattered Duster was unfortunate. So was the Eagle Feather. That's actually pretty nice for 1 slot to give +1 agility, +2 health. And then I didn't really use the Mark of the Void very often, if at all. In fact, I said I don't think we currently actually had it slotted in anything because it took the Darkstone. Oh, and then last, we also lost the Plasma Torch. So Pete is now a little bit less strength. He's now at strength 4 or 5. So, all right. Alright, so now we're on to Doc, and Doc actually has a number of, he's actually got even more things in here that won't fit on camera, so we'll replace them as we go. Do a second round here with them. But this is what we've got. So you start with the Tools of Science. Let's see what we get for the Tools of Science. We keep the Tools of Science, so good. The Feather Hatchet we keep. Alright, so we still have our 1 reroll for something like the Void Lantern. Alright, we have, and for those who don't know, the Tools of Science, he uses his Cunning. Base combat is now equal to his Cunning. He also has, I haven't filled in a circle, but he also has the Grip, which gives it +1 combat. The Feathered Hatchet that we purchased is a hatchet that is +1 combat. and +1 damage for combat, and then we filled it with a reroll. Okay, now we have Thufir Dust. Discard to cancel a Growing Dread card on a d6 roll of 4+, or reroll a Hold Back the Darkness roll. Actually, I didn't even think about that. We could have used that to try to cancel that Growing Dread card. Again, it felt pretty doomed anyway, but there we go. Alright, Crimson Hand. So the Crimson Hand gives us +X health, where X is equal to your hero level, so 3. He also gains +1 combat for every X wounds he currently has, with a maximum of 3. While equipped, your corruption resistance is reduced by 1, but he has a 3+ willpower, so that's actually pretty good. We picked that up last episode, and we keep it, so good. It gives him 3 extra health, and the ability to get extra as he gets damaged. Alright, so the big thing here, I think this is the next big thing. I mean, obviously things like the armor helmet would be nice. This is a Void Lantern. That's come in very useful. So, do we keep the Void Lantern? We do. Alright, now we have the Dusty Poncho. Okay, which is +1 health, +1 sanity, and ignore weather effects. Which he will need to give to somebody else, because it is a shoulders item, which actually any of the other two can use, but he is going to, oh, never mind, so we lose that, and I don't think we want to re-roll that. We have the Hanging Cross, which is attached to any item, +1 spirit, +1 sanity, which we keep. Alright, then we got the Dead Man's Canteen. Place 6 sanity markers here. You may transfer sanity from here to yourself at any time to heal wounds. And at the start of adventure, refill it up to 6 sanity. So you can trade sanity for 2 wounds. Haven't had a big need to do that, and I don't always remember that's there. We do keep it. Okay. Next is the Serpent Skull Helmet, which is simply armor 5+. We managed to keep that. Okay, so we have the Totem of Dinar, Spirit Armor 4+, which we lose. Now, what do we have left that might be a pain to get rid of? So, to see if we want to reroll. We've got the Doc's Bag, the Dead Man Boots. Anytime he rolls a 6 for move, he can heal 2 sanity, which, you know, I don't know that he's ever done that. We did buy some Gambler's Dice for an extra cunning, and once per adventure he can cancel redraw. But we know we can buy this. I mean, it's expensive, but we know we can buy that. I would say that's not necessarily necessary. We have a Looking Glass for more cunning. Again, cunning is going to affect the number of dice he rolls. And he recovers a grit anytime he passes a cunning test, which is very nice, actually. And the Holy Charm, discard to prevent all damage done to you by a demon or undead, or discard to re-roll any single die, adding +1 to the roll, which I didn't even think about that. I'm always caught up on this part. Guess he could re-roll any single die, adding 1. It is a discard. So I do have 2 re-rolls, potentially. I think personally, which is why I rolled for the hat first, my belief is I need to roll for that before I can use it, because theoretically it might be gone. The only other 2 things he's got left here is the Void Ring, which is an extra spirit. Once per adventure, he can prevent the darkness from moving, which is extremely helpful. And then the Void Down to take 1 less damage from each hit done to you by a Void enemy. Which, again, I'm not sure I actually... I don't think we got so many cards. You see how many cards. I don't know that I have remembered that. When he's gotten hit by things like the Void Spiders. Or the Hellbats, right? But we'll go with that. So, I think let's re-roll this. Let's re-roll this. Try to keep the Spirit Armor. Oh... And that didn't work. So we failed that, so we're going to lose the Totem of Dinar. And then I think I'm going to interrupt, just in case... Well, yeah, you know, I don't think there's anything I super want to keep. So I'm not going to worry about whether or not, you know, try to use the Holy Charm first. So we have the Void Ring, which we keep, and the Void Hound Tooth, which we keep. So next, we have the Doctor's Bag, which we keep. We have the Dead Man's Boots, which we keep. We have the Gambler's deck, which we lose. Okay. We have the Looking Glass, which we keep. And we have the Holy Charm, which we lose. Alright, not super horrible, I guess. He does have 4 bandages in the bag and 3 bandages in his side bag. So a total of 7 bandages. So we have to roll for each token. For bandages, so it looks like we lose 2 bandages. Okay, and then we've got a whiskey and a tonic. So the whiskey, we lose the whiskey. And the tonic, we keep the tonic. Alright. Well, there you have it, folks. That is through all of their tokens and side bags and everything. Could have been a lot worse. But we actually came through it much better than I expected. We didn't lose any of our weapons. We did lose the Gambler's deck, which is unfortunate. Do have to figure out how to get the lasso back, and it's unfortunate we lost the Eagle Feather and the Tattered Duster. But we did not know, and that's about it. So, all right, so we're gonna head to town. We may need to give. Well, we'll see what we get in town again. So we're gonna want to try to get one more. Replace the Gambler's deck in town for Doc. And what was it? Bechamel. Bechamel doesn't really need to do anything. She didn't really lose a whole lot. Just her starting pistol, but we were looking at replacing her breaching gun. And then Pete. So we need to figure out how to replace the lasso for him. And I guess that's the only thing we need to do for him for right now. Alright, so thanks for watching. I hope this was interesting and fun for you guys. Again, I appreciate everybody who watches and who like and subscribe to YouTube and Patreon page and become a patron. And I will see you in the town episode. Take care.